Do you guys hear that?
Is that boss music?
Go naked and just go with the sword, and that's it.
What do I do with all this?
It says it in the title.
I'm a slut for roguelites.
Hello. Welcome back to the Unearthing Games Podcast. I'm your lead excavator, Nick, and today I'm joined by Erica.
Hi.
And we dig games. If you're enjoying the Unearthing Games Podcast, the best way to support us is to either leave us a positive review on your podcasting directory, give us a like if you're watching this on YouTube, or best of all, maybe share it with your friends and loved ones. So before we jump into the games we talk about every week, Erica, what you been up to?
This week has felt like it has gone by very fast. I don't feel like I got to do anything that I really wanted to. I did play some Metropolis. Still haven't passed it or beat it as the farmer, I think is the first one. I got up to 28 last night.
Yeah, the merchant, right?
Yeah, that guy. Still can't beat that. Then I played a bit more of a virus named Tom, and didn't realize how old that game was.
It just shows that games can be like a fine bottle of wine, right? It just gets better with age.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't think I've really been playing a lot of games. We didn't get to Minecraft. I still haven't gotten back to Nancy Drew, which I need to. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Metropolis, I played like 4 or 5 rounds of that over the past week. And then a lot of the game that I'm going to be talking about this week.
Well, yeah, because with Metropolis, you were playing it from around the house, right? You were doing the whole remote thingy through your phone.
Yeah,
right?
That's pretty much how I play that game, which is probably why I don't beat it. There's probably things that I'm slower on since I'm playing on my phone and a touchscreen where I have to click and drag versus being on mouse and keyboard.
I don't know though. I mean, if you're getting to level 28 on your mobile phone, I mean, obviously you're doing something right. I mean, because if you were just like too slow on the draw, I mean, wouldn't you think you'd die a lot sooner?
Well, I'm saying like it might be an advanced difficulty playing it on a screen versus on the computer, so I may be handicapping myself.
Okay, that makes sense.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. I haven't really been doing a whole lot. I played the game I'm going to talk about today. I did dabble a little bit back in my RimWorld colony on my Randy Random. He's still trying to kill us. Nobody's died yet, though. So holding on to hope. And I have gone back to Forager. So I don't think we've ever talked about that one on this podcast. Maybe we will at some point. But yeah, I've rediscovered there's been an update for that. We got to try that out for multiplayer. Hopfrog or whatever put a multiplayer update out. And so it's just some really chill grinding fun, I guess. I don't really know how else to describe that game besides, dig things, make money. More things to dig, make money. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the whole premise of the game, but it's surprisingly enjoyable. So I've been doing that, having a pretty good time with it. But yeah, other than that, I don't really think I've been up to a whole lot. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Erica, what game did you play this week?
Yeah, so this game I've been super excited about. We saw Tom from the Oxcast play this back when it was a demo, and by his second video, the demo was no longer available because it had become so popular, which made me very sad because I waited until the second video to try to go get it instead of doing it right away. But this game is called Dorfromantik, and this is by Tucana Interactive, developed and published. And the tags for this are early access, casual, relaxing, indie, and strategy. So it is a very relaxing game. This game is just a challenge on how well, I guess, you can place a city and its surrounding areas. So you start out with like a little stack of like 50 hex tiles to put out, and certain ones have certain little objectives. So if there's like a little waterway, like a little river, it might say like 5+, and so that means that in order to fulfill its little goal, you have to connect 5 additional waterways to it, which could be little lakes or additional rivers. Different buildings once you get further on, but once you achieve these objectives, you get more tiles added to your stack, so you continue going. So it's basically how well you do determines how long you'll be playing the game. I haven't been able to break the 10,000 points mark yet, which is sad, especially seeing all of the pictures on Steam of like the ginormous maps that people have done. That's like the second. There's different little like milestone objectives to get, and it unlocks different things. So the 10,000 points is like the second milestone of the points that I haven't gotten to yet. There's different little hidden objectives too. Like there was one I got the other day for joining like 60 water tiles to each other, like making one long continuous waterway, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so I think this game is really relaxing. It's adorable. The objectives, I was confused at first. There are some, so the different types of tiles there are, I guess, are fields, just open grass, which don't really do anything, trees, houses, waterways, and then there's also railroad tracks. And so those are the different types of objectives you'll get, and it's like, connect 3 farm tiles to this one, and so you have to do that. What I didn't realize is that the objectives are some are specific. So you could get a farm tile that says 5, and if you put that down, you can only connect 5 to it to create that objective, and the number is determined based on the number of fields on each tile. So you can get tiles with 2, with 3, with 1. It just depends on how the tile is set up. But if there was certain points where I had like a farm objective that was 2, and I had a farm tile come up, but it was 3, so I couldn't connect it because it would fail that objective because it would be 1 too many. So certain objectives are like a 5+, where you can connect as many as you want to, and it doesn't, limit you as far as that goes. And then other ones, they'll just say 5, and you can only connect 5. But once you do finish that objective, then you can continue building onto it, which is good too if you want to have this like massive farming area. But the only thing is I kept doing that where I would build a massive farm area or a massive forest, and then I would get a tile that wanted like 13 farms, and I couldn't connect it to my farmland already because it was like 20 something. So I had to go and create a whole nother farm area. And getting the 13, it's slow. And so a lot of times I would run out of tiles before I could do that. So I would say diversify. Don't put all your tiles in one area. That's my biggest tip on this game. I haven't gotten super far into it, but I really like this. It's fun, but also relaxing.
With those objectives that you're doing, so I know you said you can't. It's kind of like you don't want to break it, right? So like if it wants 3, you don't put 4, sort of deal. Well, once you achieve that objective, can you then add more after that, or do you like can you retroactively lose the?
No, you can.
The points.
You can.
Okay. And like I think your advice, like it sounds really sound. I mean, I haven't played this one yet. I mean, I watched the videos, the Tom videos with you, so like obviously it was a really chill looking game. But it seems like what you're saying not to do. I don't know if it's like human like instinct or something like that, or gamer instinct. Like people want to do that sort of thing, like because all the like most of the pictures here on Steam, I'm looking as it's cycling through them. They look like people tend to cluster the things up. So like there's like a big old section that's just city, and a big old section that's just farmland, and a big old section that's forest. And like I'm wondering if there's something telling about like gamer psychology about people wanting to do that.
But I mean, the game makes you do it. There are like, especially with the forest, it's like we want 260 trees connected to this one tile, and so each little tree on the tile counts as 1, and so you're just connecting them, ongoingly to get that objective. And then you just happen to get another one that's like, 320 trees, and you're like, well, if I just add it on here and I continue, it'll be fine. Like there's certain instances in where it makes sense to just continue adding on. And then, like I said, there are certain instances where you'll get a tile that says, I only want 5 farmland, and your only farmland area that you can connect it to is like 20 at this point, and so you have to go and start another farmland that's smaller.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I saw a thing. I think I saw once with you, and then I saw some stuff on like Twitter and all that. So, like you talked about, like is it milestones that you unlock new tiles? Is that what it is, or is it like secret objectives? Like do you does it tell you what you have to accomplish to unlock new special tiles?
It not that I saw while you're playing the game, but when you're in the home menu, there's an option where you can see the objectives.
Okay.
That's where I've seen them. I haven't seen them specifically in the game, but I've also haven't really like one thing I can't find is I can't find the tutorial. So there's one objective which is completing the tutorial. And I just got this game. I opened it and I said, start new game. And there wasn't a tutorial. So I'm not sure exactly how you complete the tutorial because I haven't found it.
The achievement you never thought you'd have to Google how to do.
Yeah, so I don't, there's probably something I'm missing, obviously, but like I said, every time I open this game, I just open it and hit start new game. So I'm probably missing something there, but it's a lot of fun, and I'll find the tutorial eventually.
Now, I remember seeing on Tom's thing. Maybe you can tell me. Do you have to unlock these? Like, you can get little like boats and trains. Do you have to unlock those, or do those just already come in the mix?
So like the little vehicles, so I mentioned that there's waterways and train tracks. To start out with, they're just empty, and you just collect them, connect them up, and they have objectives too. Eventually, once you connect so many of them, I don't know what specific it is. It just happened. You do the little tiles will come with like a little boat on it, and then as you're placing other tiles, the little boat will just like tootle along in the little rivers and stuff, and it'll just go around. And the same thing with the train. You have to connect so many together, like such a length of track, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And then once you do that, then you'll unlock. Oh, you have a little train. I just recently unlocked a different style for the train, and that's something too for just the plain grasslands and even the farms. They have different styles also. You can see in some of the pictures there's like a darker grassland. And then for farms there's also like a pink colored field, which is interesting. So it just makes it really interesting to find all these different styles. And like the forest, there's the green forest, and then there's some that look like they're in fall, so they're all orange leaves and stuff. It's just really pretty.
So it's just kind of basically you're just building a really cute like country township sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and it's really cute. There's, one tile won't just have one type of thing on it. It might have one house and a little field and some trees, and so you can put that wherever, really. You can connect it to your giant forest, or you can put it next to your farmland. And I think it's just really cute. You can connect the house to the huge city that you made. I think it has a lot of cuteness, and the variety of tiles it's just so much variety. You never feel like you're just getting farm tile after farm tile.
Now with this one, I think I remember seeing it when you were placing like some rivers and stuff like that. Like it'll basically restrict where you can put them, obviously. So like if you have a hex that's got a river that cuts straight through it, right? You can't just drop that anywhere. It has to tack on to like a river, or you have to rotate it so that like the sides that aren't river tack on to an area, right?
Yeah,
Like,
so
does it restrict that for all of them, or is it for just tiles like that have like railroad or river on them?
So just the trains and the rivers have those restrictions, and so there are tiles that are just completely water, and those you can put wherever and just surround them, and it's just like a little lake. So that's a good way to begin and end your rivers. In that tile, there's also this other tile that I unlocked at some point that was a train and boat station, and so it's like it looks like like maybe a gazebo type of thing.
I was gonna say there's a
an
picture in here
island?
that's got one. It's in, if you're looking on Steam. Oh, here it is. There's one where it's like a small, just little like circular place, and you can see a little like white topped gazebo looking dude in the water. Is that what it is?
Yes, I believe it's white topped. I don't know, but it is like a little gazebo. Oh, there it is. It's like a pink topped gazebo type of thing, just on a water tile. And so what that does is you can connect either railroads or water to it. So that's also a good one to place when because you can get yourself stuck sometimes where you can't place anything in a specific spot because rivers have to either connect to other rivers, to this tile, or to lakes. They can't just dead end, basically. They can't just go into a city or a farm. It has to either start or end with one of these. And you can always just place one randomly, but on either end of it, you can't place a building.
The river ends in a windmill.
Yeah, like you can't do that, which is fine. But it does lock you because there are certain tiles that they'll have both a river and a train track on it. And so you have to be able to place it in a spot where you can do both, because I've had instances where I lock myself into a spot where my train tracks are going one way and my river is coming towards it, and all of a sudden they met and I didn't realize it beforehand, and so now I have to wait for a tile that has a train track and a river on it, or for this gazebo building. And so I'm just like, it's hard to place stuff sometimes when you limit yourself. But I mean, I think that's just the puzzle type of game it is. It doesn't say puzzle. I would tag it as a puzzle.
So you should add that tag. Maybe more people will do it, because it sounds like a puzzle. Like, it's a relaxing puzzle. Like, it's not, there's no picture that you're like, make this image, but it's kind of like, well, I wonder how well I could do this.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like it. And then for the train tracks, their ends, they have like little like track ends where it's got like the little barricade with the little bumpers, like what you would imagine a train track end to be. And those tiles come out every so often. I haven't seen a lot of them, so I've had to use a lot of the train / boat stations. Those are really handy. I think they're great. And the little boats will go into the station, and so will the trains. Like, you can see them actually go in and then come back out. It's cute. I like it.
I remember on the Tom video we were watching one that he made like a loop, and then had like a track coming off one side of the loop and off the other side, and like he put the little train engine on there, and it just kept doing circles. It wouldn't go down the rest of the track.
Yeah, that's one thing. The rivers and the train tracks, it's very hard to find tiles that aren't curved, and the curves aren't even subtle curves. Like, it's a 90-degree turn on a lot of the tiles, and so I end up just like putting these one after another, so it's a really like snaky little river, because the straights are just so rare, I feel like. And then you get crazy tiles too where it's like a junction, and so there's some where it's a train track that one comes into it and then it splits into 4 branches.
Gosh.
And so it's like trying to find a spot where that fits. I usually put them way out in the middle of nowhere and work on that later. But it becomes hard to try to manage those. And it's the same thing with the waterways. You'll find some that it'll be like a 4-way split or a 3-way split, and it's just like, oh God, how am I supposed to where does this fit? Because once you put it somewhere, you got to make sure that you can cap it off on either end, or just leave it open-ended so it can continue flowing forever.
I will say, I don't see them in the pictures, but like the game profile pic that's in the top right on Steam, it's got that windmill up there. I'm imagining that surrounded by like the purple fields, and it just makes me think of Gift of Tulips, with like the colorful fields all around the cute little windmill.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a windmill in my playing.
Maybe that's when you unlock, like, after you connect so many
farmlands. Yeah.
Have like 100 farmlands, and it's like, congrats, you got a windmill.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen the windmill. But yeah, I obviously have to play a lot more of this to unlock everything. But it's adorable. I really love this game.
say. I think I saw something online. I haven't tried to verify this to see if it's true, but I saw somebody posted something saying that Dorfromantik translates, like if you're translating it into English, it means like village romance. And I was like, that's kind of cute, thinking that,
Yeah.
because that's kind of what this game it's all about. You're just making a cute little village, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really cool.
There is also a sandbox mode that you can just build forever and not have to worry about running out of tiles. So if you just want to go and build the city, you can.
I'm sure we'll probably have some YouTube videos if they're not already up that are like people just doing like slow pan shots of like the huge world they've created,
Oh, that is one thing. The camera, it's set at an angle, at least as far as I can tell. I haven't been able to rotate the camera, which it gets a little hard as you go further out in one direction and then you're coming, once your map is longer. You can see it in some of these pictures in Steam where, the stuff in front of you can see, but then the stuff way in the back, like it's just tiny. And you have to like scroll all the way over there. And there was one point where I had a little river hidden behind some trees and I was like, why can't I place anything there? And then I finally like went and zoomed in on it. It's like, oh, there's a river back there. That's why. So if I could change the camera angle, I would love that.
The one thing you'd want to change.
Yeah.
It's not even the game really. It's just the camera panning.
Yeah.
But you can zoom in and out. So like if you wanted to like just zoom in and follow the little boat as he's like
You can't zoom in that close, but yeah, you can zoom in enough to see what's going on.
I'm sure someone will mod this so that you can zoom right into the little boat and they'll mod in like Steamboat Willie like driving the little boat,
Yeah, I think it's really cute. And the objectives, they start off small. So at first it's like connect 5 farm tiles or 8 houses and then it gets bigger and then you're at like 300 and something trees and it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, so that was Dorfromantik and that's by Toucana Interactive. And I think it's $10. So worth it. Go buy it right now.
Seriously, like from what you're describing, I mean, looking at it, like what, for an extra couple of bucks, you could also get the soundtrack. How is the soundtrack? Do you say it's equally chill, or is it kind of just like it's there?
I don't know if I could say anything. I think the times I've been playing this, I've been listening to other things in the background.
Okay.
So I can't really say anything about the soundtrack itself. I'm sure it's very calming. I can't remember it. Like I said, I've been watching like documentaries and stuff while I'm playing this game. So that's my life.
I think that makes sense. You do tend to have other things going. I think that's kind of the nature of like the way that we game though. We tend to have like a show or a movie or something off to the side while we play the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely do. And it's nothing against the game. The game's super fun. It's just I like listening to stories, I guess. I love listening to podcasts and documentaries, stuff that I don't necessarily have to watch. It's just there and I can do something while I'm listening. I love that. So
No, I think that's cool. So, Dorfromantik by Toucana, right?
yes.
Or Toucana?
Toucana.
Yeah. Okay.
And
So, Dorfromantik by Toucana. Really chill game. Very relaxing.
yes.
Get those chill puzzle vibes. Make cute little cities.
Yeah, and if
So.
you go into Steam right now, there's someone streaming it and they're giving away keys. So
Ooh, go get them keys.
This is a very new game. Like I said, I was waiting. I was counting down the days for this to come out.
It's been out like what, like a week, if even that. Like so.
Yeah, March 25th is when it was released.
Oh gosh.
So.
Okay. All right. So that was your game. So the game that I played this week is called Space Crew. This is developed by Runner Duck, like a track runner. Runner Duck, and published by Curve Digital. Now, we've seen quite a few Curve Digitals. I think we've talked about some on the podcast, and I think we've played several other ones. Like I know, like the one that comes to mind that I talked about early in the podcast was Drake Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Was published by Curve. We've watched a lot of people play Human Fall Flat.
Yeah.
So they published that. They've also did the predecessor to Space Crew, Bomber Crew.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a bunch of games on here that I feel like I've seen before. I may not have necessarily played, but
Yeah.
probably will play at some point. So, really
Yeah,
cool
yeah.
to put a name to the publisher. You know, a lot of these games have been like, wow, that's on my wish list, huh? But yes, Space Crew. So this is a cute little roguelite management combat sort of game. Its tags on Steam are simulation, action, strategy, indie, and adventure. So this is like a really cute riff on like Star Trek, you know, to boldly go where no man has gone before and all that jazz. It's so funny. You get this cool little spaceship and you have a crew of 6 people. And of the 6 people, everyone has a specific job. So you have like the pilot, right? They have to drive the boat. You've got a comms person who in the beginning doesn't really do a whole lot. You have a security guy who he also in the beginning doesn't really do a whole lot. Then you have gunners and you have engineers. Well, I say in the beginning because the first couple of missions, it's basically just like go fly and go do some donuts in space and come back and we'll give you money. You know, it's like great job, really proud of you.
Called exploration.
It is, but after like the first 2 missions, which is like the training run where it's like go fly to that buoy and fly back. After that, then aliens start to attack. So, like this game, I call it a roguelite because it gives you random missions to do that you can pick. And when you pick a mission, each time you have to go and jump from different little nav gates. So you like jump to different locations. And whenever you jump into a new location, there could be bad guys. There could be environmental disasters. There could be random things to encounter. Like one time I encountered an escape pod. And the people were like, hey, one of our ships blew up in this area. There may be an escape pod. If you can, pick them up. And I picked them up. And then now, if one of my people happens to die, I can recruit this person I rescued to join my crew. So I thought that was pretty cool. I will say that combat in this game can get a little crazy. It's very much like controlled chaos, for lack of a better way to put it, because you can't pause time. Everything's constantly going. And so it's like, all right, you're under attack. There are like 8 enemy spaceships shooting at you. And you've got like your little gunners in their little gunner booths on the sides of the boat shooting at people. And then sometimes aliens will try to like board your ship. So like an alien ship will latch onto the back of yours and little aliens will crawl out with ray guns and they start like trying to break your ship and shoot your people. Mm-hmm. And that's what the security officer guy is for. You're supposed to tell him to go pick up a gun and go shoot the aliens. And so he'll grab a gun and go tootling around the boat, like pew pew, start shooting at bad guys. Most of the time, I have him sitting in a gunner's chair because boarding only happens every so often. The engineer is probably the MVP of the game because your ship is constantly catching fire. Mm-hmm. Things are constantly catching fire and breaking, and so all this space battle nonsense is going on outside the ship, and I'm just zoomed in telling my little engineer, like, grab the fire extinguisher, go put out some fires, fix the shields, we're gonna blow up, hurry up.
Yeah.
And so most of the time, the only person I'm actually directly commanding and telling what to do is the engineer person. And I feel bad for them, but they're like a master engineer because they're always fixing everything. I haven't gotten super far into the game. I've maybe completed like 10 to 12 missions, and it seems kind of like in true, I guess, roguelite fashion. As you're going, like the more missions you complete, you'll eventually unlock like story missions to happen. So every like 3 or 4 missions you complete, like a big mission will happen. And the only I've done 2 big missions so far. Like one big mission was to go and shoot down like an enemy. It calls them enemy champions. Mm-hmm. So it's like an alien ace pilot who basically has a whole bunch of shields and a whole bunch of health and talks a bunch of smack to me on the radio as we're trying to shoot them down.
Yeah.
And so we went and did one of those missions, and we almost got shot down. Our ship had a whole bunch of little holes in the side of it and stuff like that, which was pretty scary. And then we did a mission where we...
I said, yeah, you're in space.
I'm in
space. Your ship has holes.
And then the other one we had was we had to go and attack like an alien mothership. So the game has a lot of little mini things that you can do. Like I'm figuring out, like it turns out my comms person can do like hacking. So like you can fly up to like big alien ships like the mothership, and I've encountered like a space station before. And you can have your comms person basically hack it to turn their weapons off so that they can't shoot at you for a couple of minutes, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was pretty cool. It also has a lot of stuff where my engineer person has to like get out of their engineer chair and go and sit in like a little cargo bay in the back to like pull things in. So like we'll like go and like drop off supplies through the cargo hold, or we pull in like an escape pod, or hey, there's an alien satellite, go grab that thing. And so
Or your poor person that got flung off the ship while they were trying to repair it.
So, in true, just like in Bomber Crew, like you would constantly have it where like your airplane's props would catch fire, and your guy would have to go crawl out on the wing to fix the engine. You know, that's happening in this, but we're in space. So like my thruster like would break, and it's emitting radiation, so the ship can still fly, but everyone's taking slow damage. So my little engineer has to go put on a spacesuit and crawl out onto the engine outside the ship and start hammering away at it. And I made the mistake of telling my pilot to do evasive maneuvers while this was happening, because there were like 15 bad guys shooting at us.
Yeah.
And when we did that, she got flung off the ship. And so I had to tell the pilot to turn around. And one of my people had to go into the cargo bay, and they tractor beamed her in and pulled her back into the ship.
Yeah.
So that was really awkward. I felt so bad. I was like, oh no, turn around, stop bobbing and weaving and go pick her up.
And it wasn't even like she was close. It was like she was like 300 and something meters away. Like that's how far you guys flung her.
Well, it's weird because like a lot of this, you don't really directly make them do anything. Like the closest thing would be when you click on someone and say, hey, go fix this, or go sit in that chair. Is really all you can do. But once they're in the chair, them doing their jobs, they do what they want. So like the gunners in their chairs, they really just fire at the nearest target they can hit. And the pilot, you give him like little like basically directives. Like, hey, patrol the area, or fly in a defensive pattern, where the defensive pattern he'll try to turn the ship where the shields are strongest towards the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can tell him to go into an attack pattern where he basically says, screw being evasive, I want to be as close to the bad guys as I can.
Mm-hmm.
But then they also all have like special powers as they level up. So one of the first powers the pilot unlocks is evasive maneuvers, where for like 20 seconds or 30 seconds, your evasiveness goes up to 100%. So the bad guys can't hit you, but apparently if people are outside the ship, they get knocked off.
Yeah.
So that happens. I started saving it for, I would encounter, there's a bunch of different types of alien ships. Like there's little fighters, there's little ones that latch onto the back and drop troops in your ship.
Mm-hmm.
There's also like bomber guys that they'll coast right alongside you. Like they're trying to do some sort of like insurance scheme where like they want to like box your car in and make you crash into their friend in front of you.
Yeah.
You know? So they would box me in. So they'd be like two on the sides and like one in the front and one in the back, and they like all get around me and start just like peppering my ship. And I don't really understand the thing, but it hurt a lot. So my gunners would be like, do I want to shoot at the guy right outside my window, or the guy way over there in the distance? That guy in the distance though, you know, and they go shooting at them instead. But as you get further in, they also get ones that will target specific systems. So I had a guy that it was one that he's the token UFO, like it was just a flying saucer, would fly up and it would directly target my shield system. And so it would break my shields. And so my engineer is up back there trying to fix it, and I tell my my pilot, you know, go full evasive, that way we're not getting shot to Swiss cheese while our shields are down. So I honestly really enjoy it. It's got a really cute pixel art style. You every time you do a different mission, every mission you get rewards where you get money to buy upgrades for your people or your ship, and you get research. And research will unlock better upgrades as you go down. So I think if you wanted to, you could basically pretty much just grind the low-level missions and just keep doing them over and over again and say screw the story until your ship's like really leveled up and ready to go. And I don't know if that's how the game intends you to play, because it's not how I played. I would do like 2 or 3 missions, and then like the red mission would appear, and I'd be like, all right, one more not red mission, and then we're going. And so it was a challenge. We haven't blown up yet, which is great. I did find out like 10 missions into the game that you can buy escape pods for your ship, which it does not come standard with. So if the ship blows up, I guess they're all gonna die.
Yeah.
But I really like it. I like that you can customize like what your people are wearing and stuff like that. So, like my security officer, I gave him like heavy armor and he has like a sidearm and stuff like that. So when aliens board, he's ready to fight, and he can take more hits and still survive. And I gave like my repair person, like she has a special suit that makes her resistant to radiation, and she has a little tool that lets her fix things faster. And so I think it's pretty cool. As you're going, you unlock a lot of different stuff. I've only just recently started unlocking. You start out with two basic weapons. You have like a laser cannon and a machine gun. And like, lasers are good versus shields, bad versus hull, and machine guns are good versus hull, bad versus shields. And I just recently started unlocking like missile launchers, and I think I got like a rail gun or something where it shoots really slow, but it shoots one really big slug at the enemy ships. So that seems pretty cool. And then a lot of the different systems you can unlock with the research all seem to be kind of trade-offs. So it's like, do you want engines that are faster speed and maneuverability but less armor so they're more likely to break? Or do you want heavier armored engines that may not be very fast or maneuverable, but it's going to take a lot for them to break? So everything has like a pro, a con, and then a middle ground,
Yeah.
So like I went with I have the reactor core that has very little armor, so it's easy for my reactor to break, but it provides a whole lot of energy. And so like part of the engineer's little subsystem game is that you kind of do power distribution, so I can pull power from like gravity or shields and put it in weapons, or pull power from weapons and put it into shields, depending upon what I'm needing. So it was really cute. Our ship was called the Wandering Sloth, and so I thought that was great. So the crew of the Wandering Sloth is out exploring the galaxy, trying to protect humanity from little pink aliens, So I really liked it. Say this is a relatively new game. It came out October of 2020, so relatively new, and it's a really great kind of rehash, glow up of the Bomber Crew formula. Because before I bought this game, I went back and decided I would play Bomber Crew again. And holy cannoli, that game is hard. Like, I completed like 2 missions before getting shot down as the bomber. So I thought this was a really neat kind of rehash of the metric. And I'm really curious to see what kind of other new missions they've got, because there's a lot of like little bonus objectives and things you stumble upon as you're jumping from sector to sector. Like, I stumbled upon a ship that looked like our ship, that they were damaged and they needed repair. So I had to fight off the aliens, and then my engineer had to go over and fix their ship. So I thought that was really cool. And so it's really cool. I really like it. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you like any sort of roguelite, cute little Star Trek style, exploration game. Is really cool. Because it also does give you the option, like, you don't have to just go from waypoint to waypoint. You can tell your ship to go fly around the areas that you're in to go and see if you can find little hidden stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. So Space Crew by Runner Duck and Curve Digital. Okay. So those were our 2 video games. We had Dorfromantik and Space Crew. And now we got our board game. This week we played, hope I say this right, Altiplano. Hopefully I said that right. Altiplano, really cute. It is described as a bag building game on Board Game Geek, which I think kind of sounds right. This guy was designed by Rainer Stockhausen. Hopefully I said their name right. I really like their game, and it was published by Renegade Game Studios. So once again, Renegade is on the podcast. Erica, you want to tell us a little bit about the game?
Yeah, so we realized that Altiplano is referring to specific highlands of Peru. That's what this area is called, and that's what this game is based on. And so what you're doing is you are trying to be the most successful person in these plains. It's basically what it is.
Richest guy on the plateau.
Yeah, you draw a roll card at the beginning of the game, and from what we played, we had like a miner, and you had like a forester type of
Yeah,
person.
I was like a lumberjack or something. Like he was
Yeah.
holding a big old stone axe.
And each role has a special ability where you can trade one resource for something else. And so the game is really trying to collect enough resources because your resources are your actions. And so I thought that was interesting. So each player starts with a role, and each role starts with a certain set of starting resources. And the way that your resources are actions is that you throw all of your little resource tiles into a little bag. And at the beginning of each round, you pull out, depending on how far advanced you are, you pull out a number of tiles, and you can only ever pull up to 8. I think 8 was the max.
We
Or-
didn't get that far.
Yeah, I think 8's the max. But you all start out with 4 to begin with, and so you pull out these 4 tiles, and you have to, you put them in your planning space, is what it's called. And then once you have, the maximum number, then you start thinking about what actions you can take. And so there are 7 different areas on the plateau on the highlands. So there's like fishing, there's a market, there's the mountain, there's the forest, there's your house, there's the road, and
The last one I think was like a field. I remember it had like the alpaca at it and like fiber, I think.
yeah, the last one is the field. And so each of the locations do different things. So like Nick mentioned, the field is where you find the alpacas. Then obviously mountains are rocks and ore. The forest is wood and like cacao. Then fishing is obviously fish and boats. The house is different upgrades and house cards. But basically on everyone's player board, each region is represented, and it shows you what 1 to 2 or even more resources you need to place in each region in order to take that action. And so, for example, the fields, if you put 1 meal there, if you put 1 alpaca there, you would get 1 meal from it. And this is all part of like the planning phase. So you draw your resources, you put them in your planning bar, and then you start planning. You start putting your resources out because they take different things. So in the field, you could also do an alpaca and a meal, and when you do that, then you get thread. And then if you put thread and a meal, then you get wool. And so like cloth, fabric, I guess. It was like little blankets. So you have to decide where you want to put those resources, because there's also, if you go into the mountains and you do a meal and an ore, then you get silver, or so all of these different areas have different actions that you can take based on the resources that you have. And so you want to get as many resources as you can, that way you have more options in the future when you're drawing your tiles. But you also don't want too many, because then you'll overburden your planning space with tiles that you can't use.
Yeah. Like I think I wound up doing that to myself, where in the early game I bought a lot of fish from the fishing place because I wanted, because I think that was the only way for me to get, well, I didn't realize it at the time. I could have gone to the mountains, because I think in the mountains you can do like 2 food for a rock, I think.
I think that's right, yeah.
And so, but for some reason in my head, I was like, oh, you can also do in the fishing place, you can do 2 fish for a rock. Because, and I needed rocks. And so I was like, I'm going to get fish. That way I increase the odds of me drawing fish. And boy, did I increase the odds of me drawing fish. So I bought like way too many fish. And then that started being all I drew.
Also the wood, because you had the lumberjack person.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you could do 2 wood for a boat card.
Yeah, and so the boat cards, so there's a boat card and house cards, and then there's like orders. But for the boat, if you paid 2 wood at the fishing area, then you could get a boat. And the boat comes with 1 good as shown on the boat, and then the card itself is worth victory points. And so the whole point of the game is to get the most victory points.
Well, yeah.
Certain
I
resources.
love that. Keep it simple. Make points, win game.
Certain resources are worth more points than others. Some aren't worth any points.
Like fish. Fish aren't worth any points.
Yeah, they're not worth anything. You took all the fish and they weren't worth anything.
They weren't worth anything. It was a net zero gain.
It was great. But yeah, so you're trying to get the most victory points based on these different things. And then there's also these like secret objective cards that you draw. Everyone gets 3. You pick one and then you hand one to the other player. Or if there's more than 2 players, then you do one to your left and one to your right, and everyone does the same. So you basically choose an objective for yourself and one for the opponent.
Basically.
And
I thought it was kind of cool. So you have a say over what your opponent is gonna have to work on.
Yeah.
But like what you have a say over what their options are for their secret objectives.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of a neat take.
Yeah, and then there's orders, which are order cards, and those ones you have to go to the market to get, and you have to pay a coin for them. And the orders, they ask for certain items. So one of the ones I got was like glass, a silver, and an ore. And so, I had all that stuff already. It was just how long would it be until I drew it all to go put it in the order. And what my secret objective was to do the first order. So I was like, oh, I have to do this because Nick might get an order too. So
I don't know if we specifically mentioned that though. That's the weird shtick about this game is that nothing is ever lost. Like the only thing when you spend it that it goes back into the resource pool would be money. You can get coins. And if you spend coins, those go back into the pool, but everything else is recycled. And so it's like, oh, I spent 2 fish for a rock. Well, then those 2 fish tokens now go into my little bin, which the game comes with cute little
cardboard.
Little cardboard cart bins that you put them into. And basically you just keep dumping things into your trash can until your bag's empty, and then your trash can gets emptied into your bag and it's full again.
Yeah.
And so nothing gets undone, or nothing goes away except for orders. Orders, if you have to pay your glass, silver, and wool for an order card, then the order card keeps it because it's like you gave it away.
Yeah, you fulfilled an order. The other way you can get rid of stuff is if you put it in your warehouse, which is something we didn't really do a lot of.
No.
The warehouse is another way to get victory points, and on the left-hand side, it's all 3 items, and so you have to fill up a row in your warehouse, so you have to have 3 of the same item in order to get the victory points. You also still get the points for the items in the warehouse, which I didn't know, but that worked out. I won anyway, but
Of course she did.
but it's also a good way to earn points. You do have to start from the bottom and work your way up because each level is worth different amount of points. It starts at like 2 and then it goes up from there. So that's another way to get some additional victory points and get stuff out of your bin. If at one point I had way too much silver because it was worth money and I needed money to buy different things. And so I was like, okay, well, if I get more silver, that's a lot of money. Silver was worth like 3 gold each. And so there were points where I was getting like 6 gold a turn because I was just selling silver, but I was drawing it too often. So I decided to put some into storage, and I ended up with 2 rows of my warehouse full.
Yeah, because that was one thing. Like looking at it, like the warehouse card is almost as big as the player mat, so like you can put a lot of resources away.
It's huge,
And I'm just wondering, like that's a lot. Like, do you just dedicate your whole shtick to filling up the warehouse? Like, is that like it's a lot of things, and each row. Because you have to fill up one row before you start the next one. Well, not really.
No, it has to be the same item.
Each row has to be all of one item. Or you can get corn, which is like a wild card. Right. I guess corn is the most valuable thing, so it's everything. I don't know. But corn is wild, but otherwise you have to fill up with all the same goods. So like if she put silver and then fabric and then fiber, like that's 3 different rows, even if she's only got 1 on each row. So but you only get the row points if you fill up that row.
Right. Exactly.
So it's pretty crazy. And like, I guess we didn't really do a whole lot with the house section where you buy house cards and you buy extra carts and
Yeah, so when you're taking your actions, like I said, there's 7 different locations. You also have a little meeple person, and so your person has to be at the location in order to take the action. And everyone starts with a cart, and the cart helps you move from one of the little locations to the next. I think of them as islands because they're separate little things. You move from one
you're
island.
basically walking laps around the plateau.
You are, yeah. But just to move, you have to use your cart. So initially, you have one option where you can, you start off somewhere, you take an action, and then you can move 1 to 3 spaces in either direction and take another action. Which is super helpful. But then once you get later in the game and you have a lot of things you need to do, you want to buy additional carts, and they're not expensive or anything. It's just so taking additional movements costs you a meal. You have to spend a meal to take any additional movements after that first one that you get, and so it's all really luck of the draw. There were instances towards the end where I had extra meals, and so I was able to do like 3 different actions because I had an extra cart. As far as the house goes, the house upgrade, it got you more victory points per specific item. So each house card had an item, and it would have like times 2 or +1 or something like that. Or basically every item that's depicted, so it could be like glass, you get an additional victory point on top of what you already get. So that's another good way to get yourself points for things that could be lower scoring, like if you had a whole bunch of 1 point
like
things.
If I had found a house that was for fish,
yeah.
I might have won.
The one other thing we haven't mentioned are extensions, and so the extensions are pretty much the turn timer type thing. The extensions are what determines the length of the game, because as soon as you can no longer fill the extension like sale bar, there's always 4 or 5 available for sale. 5. Once you can no longer fill that up, then you play one more round and the game is over. So the extensions determine the length of the game. If people are buying extensions like crazy, the game was going to end faster. But even if no one buys an extension, the very bottom extension, the one that's only worth like whatever its
base value is.
Yeah, its base value is. It always gets discarded at the end of each round. And so that in that sense, it's like the timer of the entire game.
Yeah.
That way the game doesn't just go on forever because no one's buying extensions.
Yeah, so no matter what, those will always keep going. But I figured I know you had mentioned, I think it was last time, or maybe the one before, where you mentioned about a player having control over who gets to end the game. Because like you could also end the game by if any of the resources on the table ran out.
Yeah.
So like I remember there was like only like 2 fish left. So if someone had bought all the fish, which I was dangerously close to doing, that would have ended the game as well.
You would have lost sooner.
I'd say I really shot myself in the foot by just going fishing. It's not Stardew Valley.
Yeah, it was interesting. And so what the extensions do, they do various things, but some of them act as that extra action that your roll card does. So for Nick's roll, he could place a meal there and get a wood, which if you go to the forest, normally you would need like 2 meals to get a wood. Yeah. And mine was I could do a meal for an ore, where if you go to the mountain, normally you need 2 meals for an ore. So they're very helpful. And the one rule is that you can't own the extension that matches your roll card, which makes sense. You can't be the hoarder of the wood and just have all of the wood things, which I thought was good. You can't, because each of the rolls are duplicated in the extension. So it gives other people the option to get that same benefit. But you have to buy them, and they're on like a scale. And so the one at the bottom is worth whatever the base amount is on the card, usually 1 or 2. I don't think I saw anything more
Yeah,
than
I think
that.
2 was the most expensive we saw.
And then as you go up, you add an additional coin per spot. So the next one would be 1 plus whatever the base value was. And that went all the way up to 4 plus whatever the base value was. And no one really bought those. And so it was kind of worth it to just bide your time and wait for whatever it was to come down, because it's going to, because you're going to always discard the bottom one and all the other ones shift down into that spot, into the other
So it's all
spots.
just a matter of strategy. Like, how long do you want to wait for that cheaper action? Like, do you want to spend more money now and get the 1 food for wood, trade off early, or do you wait 2 to 3 rounds for it to discount?
Yeah, and there was a point too where there was one where you could, instead of doing an alpaca and a meal to get a thread, you could just do the alpaca. And I was like, I need that, because one of my other secret objectives was to get like 3 silver and 3 of the blankets. And I didn't get that because at the very end, I didn't have enough of something.
I think, didn't we talk about how we also messed up that, like, certain actions are only available through the extensions, like getting more alpaca.
Yeah.
Like, my character lucked out, and one of my profession starting resources was an alpaca.
Yeah.
But there was an extension that we let fall off that was
It was
like
the very first one.
Yeah, it was like trade 2 food for an alpaca or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that there's no other way to get alpaca.
Yeah, and so that was something interesting too that we were looking at. Eventually, I think there was another extension that came up that was 1 coin for an alpaca, which is how I got mine. But the extensions are helpful in that sense. Like cacao, I didn't start with one. Did I start with one? Maybe I started.
You might
with
have. You might have.
because I was the only one that had it, and then there was an extension where you could buy them. And themselves, they were only worth like 1 point, so they weren't that great. But if in the forest, you could trade those for glass. It was like 3 different things that you could trade it for, and so it was really valuable as far as trading it for other things.
It was like an item that had like it itself had no like monetary value, but like it's something that I guess other people would want. So they're like, I'll give you glass for it. I'll give you silver. You want fabric? Like, here, take it all. Mm-hmm. All for that 1 point item that's garbage, but we'll give you the good stuff.
Yeah, I really like this game. I liked the randomness of your actions. Kind of Castles of Burgundy, where you're rolling the dice to take an action. Like, you can have the best plan set up in your head, but if you don't draw well, you're not going to be able to do it. Like, at the very end, I needed to draw my cacao or something.
Yeah, you needed to draw cacao.
To fulfill an order to get, like, 18 points. The orders are ridiculously scored. Like, they are so valuable.
Well, which I think it makes sense though, because it's costing you an action.
Yeah.
Like, that action's gone forever once you give it up.
Yeah.
So naturally they got to make it worth its while.
Yeah, so they're worth a lot of points, and I needed one more item to sell it, and I was like, I just need to draw it. And I didn't draw it. And I even there was one extension where if you didn't like one of the items that you drew, you can put it in your bin and draw. You can either draw one from the bin or that you can see, or you can draw one from your bag, which would be random.
Basically a one do-over.
And at that point, everything was in my bag, and so there was too many things in there to draw that one specific one I needed.
That way you didn't beat me by 20 points. You only beat
I
me
could
by
have broke
10.
100.
Salt the wound. But no, this game is awesome. Like, I would say definitely going to be one of my contenders for my new tops. Mm-hmm. This was really fun. You know me, I love worker placement, action economy. And I thought this was a really refreshing twist on that action economy where, like, you want to build up the number of actions, but you got to be careful and not fly too close to the sun.
Yeah.
How many actions you take. So it's really good. Really cute premise. And I like that you shuffle up where the locations of all the spots. So you might have the road next to the mountain this time, but maybe next time the road will be over there next to the house and the Fisher place,
Yeah, I think we need to reread the rules, because to me, the locations didn't seem to impact the game very much. Because with the cart, you could move 3 spaces, which basically you could get to any space on the board regardless, because there's only 7.
No, I mean, I think you're right. I think we probably should go back and reread the rules, because I know there was a bit of confusion at the very beginning. Like, I know my head almost exploded when I was like, I don't understand. It says I need to do this with this, but how did I get this?
Yeah.
It didn't tell me how I got it.
It was just an example. It was like, you could, on your board, or you can take the fish back. And he was like, where do I get this fish? He was so stuck on this stupid fish that was, it wasn't.
I got
out
fixated
there.
on it, and then I kept buying fish. All because of that stupid example where Federico puts a fish on the boat thing during his planning phase. I just wanted fish.
Oh.
But yeah, so it is really good. I think you're right. Although I think that I don't think the locations are really supposed to have that big of an impact.
But I feel like they should.
I think the impact is supposed to be in buying more carts so that you can move farther,
more actions.
faster. Like I think the big thing that maybe we both kind of missed is buy more carts so you can move around more and do more in a turn. Because basically you can just keep doing actions until you're out of resources to spend.
Yeah.
And so I think that the two focuses early in the game need to be buy more carts so you can move around more.
And more road.
And
so
buy more roads so you can have more things lined up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that we didn't really go... We both increased our roads a little bit, so like we got like to 6 items instead of 4.
Yeah.
But out of a maximum of 8, obviously we shortchanged ourselves.
Yeah.
And then I feel like if I could draw 8 items and I had like 2 to 3 carts, holy cow, I could get so much done in a turn. You would be so annoyed because I'd be like, all right, well, I'm doing this, and then I'm doing that, and then I'm doing this, and then I'm doing that, and then I'm doing this. And you'd be like, oh my god, end your turn already. And it's like, but I have things to buy.
Yeah. I just feel like maybe we were doing the movement wrong. Or so the way you move your meeple around during your planning phase, you decide where you start on the island. At least that's how I read it. And maybe it's not supposed to be like that forever. Maybe after the first round, then you're wherever you ended up at, and you're supposed to start from there. I don't know. I need to relook at it, but it seemed like the movement, like I could always start wherever I wanted to.
Oh, that
You know
makes
what I
sense
mean?
though. No, that makes sense. Where it's like why would it be that like, okay, we ended this round on the fishing pond. Mm-hmm. Why would I then magically be over in the mountains?
Yeah, I think we did that wrong.
Because that would make the carts make a lot more sense than why you would want more
Movement.
to be able to move farther, faster. And it's like, okay, well, this turn I ended on fish, but next turn I need to be over in the forest, so I got to make sure I have a cart lined up to get me over there. And
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we were doing that wrong.
could be. I think it's definitely worth investigating to see if we could if that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we were playing it the correct way, it's still awesome. And I think if that wound up being the case, it's just an extra layer of complexity, but it does not break the game. So
Yeah.
So all in all, I really like it. It's got a 7.5 out of 10 on BGG. I think it's worth more. The what is it? The overall rating is 289. So I guess that's pretty good out of like all the board games, right?
Yeah, I think we did it wrong. So it says moving your player pawn before and or after each of your actions, you may move your player pawn around the plateau in either direction. Before your very first action in the game, place your player pawn on any location tile of your choice. So we were doing that wrong.
All right, well that's going to change things next time we play.
Yeah, it will. It definitely
man.
will.
Okay. Cool. Well, it's good to know. If only we'd read the rules thoroughly beforehand. Someday we'll figure it out.
Read the rules.
But
Yeah.
I really liked it. Like I said, this is definitely a contender for one of my top games. I like it. It's got a nice table presence. It is pretty big. It has a pretty big footprint. It's got a lot of parts. Probably not as many parts as like Caverna or Agricola, but it's got a lot of parts. Mm-hmm. I'd say it's definitely a competitor for like a Trajan as far as how many little pieces are all over the place.
Oh, Trajan definitely has more, it feels like.
Feels like, yes, but Who knows? But I really liked it. I like that the who goes first token is an alpaca that you pass around the table.
Yeah.
So it's the guy on the box, the cute little alpaca on the box. He's great. So Altiplano, so by Reiner Stockhausen and published by Renegade Game Studio. So super, super awesome game. Can't recommend this one enough. We'll have links in the field notes for all this jazz. Okay, so those were our 3 games. Now that we've talked about those, it's time for Kickstarter Corner. So we like to talk about different games that we have supported on Kickstarter each week, and if possible, we like to bring games up before their campaigns end. That way, you'll have a chance to go and support them. Hopefully, yeah, and then we always have links for these guys in the description. So, Erica, you want to kick us off on the game that you backed this week?
Yes. So this game is called Dungeon Date, and this is by Michael Addison. It has until April 6th to be funded, so a day after this podcast goes out.
So there's still time.
There is still time. This game looks adorable. So the tagline says, romance, befriend, and slay cute drag dungeon monsters in a card game for 2 to 4 players. And so this is like a tableau building game where you're trying to collect the best things from the dungeon. There's treasures, there's monsters, and you could choose to either kill monsters, befriend monsters, or date monsters. And you can kill other people's monsters. And in the trailer, it mentioned like, or you can backstab your friend and kill their orc boyfriend. And I was like, oh no, the poor boyfriend.
So it's like I'm dating the owlbear and you're like, no, and you kill them.
Yeah. It looks really cute. The art style is really great. And this is 2 to 4 players, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, a dungeon date. It looks adorable. This is on Tabletop Sim, I believe.
Oh, I love it. I love that. We got to try it out.
Yeah, it's on Tabletop Sim. So yeah, we got to go try this. Again, we should probably do this. But
I mean, it's the whole thing. Like, their sales pitch is just so good. We go and back it right away. And then, like, it's the whole after the fact, like, oh, you can try this out, before you pay money. It's like, I already paid. Yeah. I'll try it out to solidify my love. So...
Yes.
Oh, I remember the trailer for this one talked about collecting the best loot to become the top dungeonista, right? Like you could have the best fashion sense of everyone in the dungeon.
Yeah.
Oh.
It says it's only going to be 30 minutes as for people 14 plus. I think it'll be a cute, fast-paced little card game.
Just a really cute premise, you know? I was like, the whole... dungeon delving, go slay the monsters thing, like that's been done, time and again. But how often do you get a chance to go and date like an archlich? That doesn't happen. If you want to live out your donkey from Shrek fantasies and romance the dragon, you can do that.
Oh my god.
What? That's not a thing? That's a thing. But it looks really great. So super, super excited to try this one out because it's, what are they? They're expecting delivery by October. So that's right around the corner. We'll be able to talk about this game within the year, hopefully. Hopefully. I know sometimes delays happen.
Yeah.
But, I mean, snap. This could wind up being a board game for the podcast. Be like, oh my god, guys, it's a success story.
All of these are good. What are you talking about? All of the ones we talk about on Kickstarter Corner are going to eventually be on the podcast.
Yeah, I know. It's going to happen. But still, this one's really cute. The trailer's funny. I feel like it's also partly funny because the guy's voice, he just sounds so, like, monotone. Like, oh, stab your best friend's orc boyfriend. Like, oh, no. But, like, it's just so... He's great. The trailer was really cool. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So, this one, they have already exceeded their target goal.
Yes.
So if you go get in there now, it's for sure going to get funded. So go jump in there, get the Super Ultra Deluxe Edition. Although, no, you don't necessarily. Well, I mean, if you want multiple copies of the game to gift to your friends, then get the Super Deluxe Edition. Kind of one of the things I really liked about this one was that it really only had 2 versions to back. There is the get the game version, and then the get 4 copies of the game version.
Yeah.
There was not a super ultra mega deluxe diamond box edition, where you can get, I want the box, but I want it to have like sequins and bedazzled gemstones on it, because that would fit the style for this. If that was a thing, I might have done that. But I kind of I applaud them for not going ham on the options, because sometimes you go on there and the Kickstarter, the number of options is it's too many.
Yeah.
It's like there's a game and there's an add-on, and then somehow there are 12 other options you can choose to kickstart this game. And I'm like, why? You have 2 choices here. Do you want one, or do you want one for the whole family? So I really liked it. But yeah, so that is Dungeon Date. Romance, Befriend, and Slay. Dungeon Cuties. It's going to be great. I'm really excited. So the one that I backed this week is called Mage Noir. This is a deck building card game. Its tag on Kickstarter is a dueling expandable card game. Become a mage, craft your spells by picking mana from a shared mana pool. Ascend and unlock new powers. So this game, it looks really cool. It's 2 players, 15 to 30 minutes. So again, it'll be a quick little 2-player romp. It has a lot of it reminds me a lot of Magic: The Gathering, where you've got all the 4 base elemental types. You've got fire and water and earth and air. And what's cool is that when you're playing this, basically, you're trying to build enough spells to slay your opponent, right? But when you first draw it out, you and your opponent are both pulling from the same source of mana in the middle. But the mana pools and all that they're all randomly drawn. So there might be some green here and some blue there. And you don't fully know what your opponent's working on. So we might both be pulling blue mana, and so there's not enough out there for us both to work with. And so you kind of have to pick and choose your battles on where you're going. So it has this fantastic art style as well that is also kind of reminiscent of Magic, which I think is fantastic. You can tell that they went big on the artist budget, because all of the cards, all the spells and descriptions and all that stuff, well, all of the images for the spells look really well done. Yeah. So just like in Magic, where it'll say oh, this is the whatever spell, and then it has some awesome visual representation of that spell. These cards have that. So I'm really excited to get to try this guy. They're expecting to be delivered towards the end of the year. So I mean, we'll get to try this guy out in early 2022. So super excited for that. This is another one that has more than exceeded its target goal. Looking at it right now, they're 100K over their target goal. So kudos to them. This one does have a couple of different options. You can go for just the base game. Then they also have some different expansions you can get. I opted for the version of the game that came with both expansions. So looking forward to trying that out. This one also has the option to try it out on Tabletop Simulator.
Yes.
They've also got where you can download the rule book if you want to go and look over it now. So super, super excited to try this one out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I know we've been looking for a lot of nice little 2-player experiences, and I think that this will be a good one. I'm excited to try it out. So that's Mage Noir by Mage Noir. Go figure. So this one, he ends on April 15th. So when this podcast drops, you will have 10 days. 10 days to go and add your money to the mana pool. That way, we'll see what spells they can craft. But yeah. So those were our Kickstarter projects for the week. We had Dungeon Date and Mage Noir. Really looking forward to trying these guys out. So keep an eye on them. I'm sure they probably both have pretty active Twitters and all that too. So yeah. So that is going to be it for us. We will catch you guys next week. Toodles.
Bye.